notes. We're going to ask if you're not a speaker to make sure you're on mute. But we love seeing you. We'll also be switching to spotlight views when folks are presenting. But thanks for being on. And hi. Hey, we have Alejandra back. All right. Hi, all. Welcome to our Zero Waste Action Hour. I'm Maria Aboma, and I'm with Race to Zero Waste. I'm the Director of Communications. And we'll start off with just a quick update. Last month, we had just wrapped up our Race to Zero Waste campaign. We got our funds. We reached our goals. And surprisingly, we started that third P pursuing, and we were getting ready and ramped up to go out and do events, but we had it way off in the future. But Dolores Park opened up, and we were asked, Race to Zero Waste was asked to come in for a second season and host the Eco Pop-Up Stations. Hey, everyone hopping on. So we're there. We have 3 stations at Dolores Park. We're going into our 4th week there. And I will say this, our stations are working beautifully. People are actually sorting their waste, and it's so funny. And they want us like hand you that bag. We're like, oh no, you're going to do this. So, but it's really empowering people, and they're realizing that we do have to slow down, especially now that our restaurants are only to go. It's really important that folks take the time to sort through their things if they're having these single-use containers and bring them into our parks. They have to stop, sort. We prefer that they pack out. We are encouraging people to pack out to just avoid all of it. But it's really nice to see that folks are taking the time to do it and educating themselves on what goes where in San Francisco, and really our zero waste initiative that was put forth by the city. Also, very interesting enough, we are kind of the only public presence in Dolores Park. So our tables have become this public service space, which was a little bit unexpected. But we have park goers, they don't have masks. You're supposed to wash your hands after you eat and drink. Right now in Dolores Park, one of the sets of toilets and sinks are closed due to plumbing issues. So you had folks the first week coming up, can I have a mask? Do you have any hand sanitizer? Where is it? Who are you? So we're getting to talk to folks about Race to Zero Waste, but we're also providing them public safety. And we were able to get a donation of about 100 masks and 100 disposable masks and about 10 reusable masks from Buy Nothing. If you're not in a Buy Nothing group on Facebook, I highly suggest you tune in with your community. It's a great resource, not just for saving money, but also for sharing items and really avoiding buying new products. So we had members of Buy Nothing. I reached out to them and they stepped up, and now our zero waste stations, we're not just offering our education outreach, we're also offering masks and hand sanitizer. So again, something that we didn't expect, but really, really, these are strange times, and we're finding ways to step up in different ways. I think everyone is doing that and finding themselves in different roles. So with that, we're happy that you're here, and We have some really cool presentations and speakers today. First up, we have Lindsay Wood, and Lindsay is with Tiny Home Experience. And she's going to be presenting a video about herself. So Lindsay is a consultant and passionate about supporting people who want to go tiny and make a difference in their lives. So Lindsay, please take it away. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Teresa. I know you're behind that logo. I can see you. Awesome to be here, everyone. Thank you so much. Yep, this is our tiny home. How many of you, either in the chat, if you are video, not on video, or how many of you that are video, raise a hand that you may have seen tiny homes, either online, on TV, or in person. Anyone? Okay, cool. And then any one of those people interested in actually living in a tiny home? Just curious to know. Like, does that, pique your interest at all? Okay, cool. All right, we got a yeses. We got Alejandra and Ursula. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So my husband and I, our quick story is we went tiny, or we had the epiphany to go tiny. Actually, our epiphany anniversary is coming up in August of 2017 is when we chose to go tiny after $108,000 in rent had been spent. And that's just the 7 years that I totaled it up with my husband. It's not of my life. Obviously, that would be far more. We decided that we no longer wanted to put our money into someone else's pocket or equity. We wanted some component of home ownership. Now, granted, if you don't own the land, there's still going to be some type of payout towards someone, either in trade or in money, to park our home somewhere. But the part of the home that we wanted to own it outright. We wanted it, make it our own and make it our own experience. So my husband and I chose to go tiny, and then we found a builder in a festival in Texas. And then within 6 months, that builder went bust in the middle of the build. Now, just to give you an idea, it's usually tiny homes are built, custom homes like this one, 33 foot, 300 square foot, take maybe at the most, 3 to 4 months. So ours took 6 months and still didn't finish our tiny home. So that really put us in a mode of going from custom build to surprise DIY. And right after we finished going DIY and finished our home, it took 8 months. We hit the road and went to about 12 festivals around the country, 6,000 miles. Usually tiny homes don't travel, but ours did. Now it's staying put in the Northern California area, still moving around. But I thought I would bring to you all a little video of our tour of the tiny home. You'll see many tiny home videos out there, but this is our video of our home. So I'm just going to share screen and let me know when you guys see that. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to hit play. You guys see that? Is that good? Thumbs up. Hi, Tiny Home fam. Happy Tiny Home Tuesday. Today I thought I would give you a tour of Sierra, our tiny home. This is Lindsay Wood. Thank you for tuning in to Experience Tiny Homes. And today is exciting because I really haven't done a tour of our home. There's lots of tours online, but this is our home. And this is what has inspired pretty much our life to live tiny, as well as our whole business, Experience Tiny Homes, helping other people realize their tiny home dreams. So let's take you on a tour. All right, right now we're in Ukiah, and we are sheltering in place, not in our tiny home, but in a home near here in my parents' house. And the reason why is that we can't live here on this. Just so you know, I'm speeding it up because it is a 15-minute and I want to honor the time. So hopefully it's not too fast. Usually I tested it earlier. So here we go. But we could park it here. And that means that we can actually do some work on our tiny home while we've been sheltering in place. One of the first things I want to point out is this is a gooseneck. This is towed by a Dodge Ram 110 dually. This is my friend John's lot. Thank you, John. He's kind of doing some remodeling of some trailers and stuff, and there's an RV, but this is a great place to have it parked so that we can do the necessary work we need to do while sheltering in place. And that is Zoe, our awesome travel dog, Rocket Dog Zoe. Hi, Zoe. And what we have under the gooseneck is our propane tanks for our hot water as well as our cooking. And this actually is our unit of batteries and inverter for our solar system, which is awesome at 100%. That is what gives us power pretty much all of the year, except for winter when it gets a little bit cloudy and rainy here, even in California. She's 13 feet 6 tall and 33 feet long from this point to the very back point. And we chose a gooseneck because we wanted to travel. For many people that don't actually need to travel, you can actually do a bumper pull where this whole portion is filled in. But what we like, because we are campers and we like to have outdoor gear, is this equipment or materials down here, plywood, is going to wrap around the outside of this gooseneck so that we can make it as a garage, which we're pretty excited about. And then this is the other side of our tiny home. That is a shower, like an RV shower. We just unlock the key and you can take an outside shower, which is really helpful for dirty doggies. This is our freshwater connection and our gray water out. Obviously, we're not really using it much right now. And the 50 amp plug, which can be adapted down all the way to a 30 amp and a 20 amp. We mostly use the 30 amp when we go to RV parks. And these are brand new trailer tires and axles. Our builder, they went bust and they gave us some bum trailer and axles. So we had to fix that day 2 of our travels, which is a big reason why we've turned towards consulting and helping people go tiny because of what we've learned. When we rescued our tiny home, it took us 8 months to finish our home. And we learned a whole bunch, including tires and axles and weight distribution and electricity and how tall hatches are, how to put in windows, how to siding, you name it. The list is long. Let's go inside. So we really wanted to center our home around the kitchen. My husband is a chef. And so we chose a big kitchen counter, which is a quartz counter. We love this quartz counter. Definitely adds weight to the home. So mostly tiny homes do not travel around. They probably locate themselves once or twice in their lifetime, but ours is definitely on the travel. So we've really put this to the test. This is about a 20,000 pound tiny home. So anyway, that's part of the weight. We opted to go with a stovetop instead of the full range because we wanted storage underneath for all of our equipment and pots and pans. And we really don't use an oven. And this oven works totally fine. Now, we're not going to make a big turkey, but we really don't make big turkeys anyway. The best feature of this home, when you live with a husband who's a chef and you're living in a small space, is the fan. It's really quiet, but the fan is key, especially when you're using propane in a space. The fan and, I should say the vented hood, excuse me, and the fan. There we go. So that undermount sink is awesome. We love it. We normally have all of our seasonings mounted on our fridge with magnets, and that really helps things, stay tidy. And we usually have baskets up there, but you can see the little slim window. We love that light that comes through. And then over here is our loft, which I'll show you in a moment, but the ladder. The ladder is one of the best features we love in our home. And I'll show you, it does fold up. And when we fold it up, we just lock it in place. And now there's the ladder tucked away. Of course, anyone upstairs, if that thing gets tucked away, they need help getting down. And the reason why we want to do that is that we take away the drum and put in the chairs here. And now we can pull up this big table. Okay, I'm going to show you, we have 4 different options. It can go like that and become a movie studio. It can also lift up the small one, and now we have a full-size table. Or when we drop the table down and lift up the tiny table, oops, let me go on the other side. Now what we've got is the ability, the thing's actually, here we go, locked. The little tiny table can pop up, okay? What we originally had planned for this area was a 6-foot awning window. However, that price tag was $5,000. So we opted with the smaller window that popped up. We will soon test the ability to sit on one side and the other side outside. But we did create a little nook because we shortened the window. It gave us an opportunity for me to have my little tchotchkes. With tiny homes, you don't really have a lot of tchotchkes, but in this one, I wanted to share the love, everyone. So we love all of the light that comes through our tiny home. The fact that it's painted white as well as the windows really give it that sense of like openness and size. Okay, so I'm gonna put down the ladder and take you up on a tour of our loft. So here's the loft bed. We love, love, love this bed. And what we're doing is a little bit of construction here because we've got some shelves, bookshelves that we're gonna be putting in here. And what this thing is pallet wood that has been burned using the Shusugibon method, a Japanese method of antiquing wood. So that is what it looks like. We really love the white. However, I think some texture also looks really great. And one of the best parts is it's relatively free, except for the nails, the fuel, and the linseed oil, you're pretty much talking free. And then it takes all of our books and puts them up here, and we've got more books than that. And then there is the room for 2. So I will take a look from above. That's the tiny home from above. And we've got a lot of space. That's one thing that everyone talks about is how big this feels because the ceiling is so tall. Many people talk about how it feels bigger than even their own home. And we're only 8.5 feet wide, 33 feet long, 300 square feet if you include the loft. So we'll take you into the bathroom. Voila.
So this is a steam room shower bathtub combo unit. It actually closes doors like that, and you can steam it up and take a bath, and I love it. It even has speakers and a raindrop shower. I don't know if our system's on. No, it's water's off right now. But I love the raindrop shower. It looks quite techy and space agey, but man, let me tell you, it is a wonderful experience. So hi, this is my LED lit mirror. What I love about LED lights, if you notice, the light is coming at my face versus from above. And ladies, I don't know about you, but as you get older, I'm not a spring chicken, I'm a season chicken. And light coming out your face helps from any kind of shadows or shading. And what we also have is the Separate toilet. This is a waterless urine diverting toilet. A lot of people want to call it a composting toilet. And I could probably do a whole video on just that. But what the deal is you sit down and it opens up the back. So you do your number 2 in the back and you pee in the front. And that's the little part there. And then they separate. And that is the key part. Then what do you do with the stuff that's in the back? You can either human manure compost it, throw it into landfill like a diaper bag, or continuing. I mean, there's really the options: landfill or human manure composting. And if you want to know more about that, just type in human manure composting into Google. But that's really the situation with the composting. It cannot all happen in that little unit because you add to it every day. We hope so, if you're healthy. Okay, so back to the tour. There we go. Another view of the big area. We love our full-size fridge, and we did just wash it out. So it's great, big space going on. We just have it on because the solar is still running. And as we go up here, we love this. Eric made this cute little holder. We had a lot of people coming in and out of our tiny home, about 7,000 people, and we realized we needed a railing. So welcome to the boardroom meets the bedroom. Right now, it has a Murphy bed. However, that is changing. If anyone in California needs a Murphy bed, we are going to be selling this Murphy bed. That was my husband and I on our wedding day. And this is the crawl-in closet. Woohoo! Everyone sort of like has a pause on the crawl-in closet. People either love it or hate it. It is a bit of a workout to get into it, but we love it. We're agile little climbers, and that is our washer dryer combo back there. We don't do a lot of drying with that unit. It takes a lot of time because it's a 120 volt. So it's a really good washing machine, and then we zap it with energy and then dry our clothes. But as you can see, we have a lot of storage here, a lot of storage there, and even back wrapped around. However, what we realized with this Murphy bed is, one, we weren't sleeping in it. We were sleeping over there in the loft. And number 2, I wasn't able to use much storage. The whole storage is used up by the bed. It looks like a cabinet, but it's not. Right now it's locked because I locked it accidentally, but it does fold down into a full queen size bed, and it comes out to about where the rug is. So you've got maybe a foot to walk in. So 1, we're not using it, and 2, it has no storage. And so now we're going to shift gears, and that is an example of how wide the desk is going to be. And then that gives me that much room.
Okay, so I know I talk a little bit more about my tiny home and the room and all that. I wanted to bring it back for questions. And if anyone has any questions about going tiny, obviously tiny homes and sustainability and reducing waste are really critical, because the idea of building a 300 square foot tiny home is far less materials than building your standard American sized home is 2,500 square foot. So we're 12% of the average home. And yet in the realm of tiny homes, we're big as they come in terms of tiny homes that you may have seen. They really started out, my friend Jay Schaefer started tiny homes with 100, 150 square foot. But when I saw this version, 2 adults, dog, offices, bedroom, you name it, I wanted something that would allow us to, this is our only home. So that's a little story on that. And I'm open for questions if there's time.
So Lindsay, I have a question. Because I have looked into tiny homes. I have a friend who has about 40 acres up in Mountain Ranch. And we, even before COVID-19, we're like, we're gonna start our own little community. Yes. And unfortunately, Mountain Ranch passed this ordinance that said no tiny homes. So do you run into that in California? And maybe what are some resources that folks could use to advocate to, change those bans?
Absolutely. So let me share with you guys my screen just because it's easiest to share it. Oops, let's escape out of that. And we'll just go. So I'm also on the board of the Tiny Home Industry Association. And what we just hosted was a legalized tiny home advocacy training. And this is an amazing training. Anyone that goes here and clicks on members, then, it's a long way of answering, like, to learn about advocacy, actually is the best person to teach it is this guy right here, Dan Fitzpatrick. What he did, so I don't know if everyone's familiar, at least in California, I realize we have people all over the world that have come on to this wonderful Race to Zero Waste Hour. But at least here in California, we have the accessory dwelling unit ordinance statewide, because we've had so much housing crisis and challenge, obviously, here in California, but doesn't mean that other places around the country don't have it. You know, Denver actually did pass the ADU ordinance, so did Boulder. There's some other places. So this is a really good place to go be a member for $25. And what you do, you get the access to the 2 trainings of advocacy training. And for example, let's type in legalize tiny in the search button. This is a pretty dense website with like all kinds of places all over the country. So for example, jurisdictions, which is what we call cities and counties, that are allowing movable tiny homes. So what I'm doing here in Sonoma County is actually working to get the ordinance amended to allow for movable tiny homes. The good news is, whether you're in California, which is going to be a little easier because we have the ADU already in place, versus other states. Where's what you said the place that you're thinking about is in California? Oops,
Yeah, it's in Mountain Ranch. It's between Stockton and Yosemite.
So the interesting thing about ADU, think about the little tiny home in the backyard, the cottage, the in-law connected to the single family home. It's also considered infill housing, density housing. Really good idea, because we've already got transportation lines, we've already got public transportation, utilities lined up, you name it. When we're talking about, I want to go take raw land and put a tiny home village there, awesome, but our practices and our culture, going all the way back to the worlds when they did redlining, where it was very much segregation, like Jim Crow days, right? Where let's segregate, let's, poor, people of color in this area. I mean, that whole thing was happening. That's actually illegal. However, zoning exists. And now you'll find trailer parks in certain areas. You might find them right along the freeway, right? Or in areas that are kind of marginalized, you're not going to find them where they would normally be, where they're going to expand and create suburbia. So the practice of zoning laws has very much been in support of single family housing. However, our world is changing. The millennials and the boomers make up the most of our population. And by 2030, 1 in 5 people will be above 65 years old. And that whole need for 3-bedroom home, nuclear family reality is changing. In addition, we've got the already existing housing crisis and now COVID and all that's happening in regards to that. So this is a great time to go and talk to elected officials. I'm actually hosting, once people actually go through that training program for advocacy, then I'm hosting a study hall in, let me just to show you guys, in the THEA member network. So once you're a member, then you can learn more about this, because what I'm about to share is more than just like what I can share in like 2 minutes, right? It's definitely a deeper dive into how you work on creating pocket neighborhoods, cottage clustering, tiny home villages, and also the ADU tiny homes and backyards. So hopefully that was a long way of answering that. And I do want to point out one thing for anyone that's really interested. I am hosting the Tiny Home Challenge starting next Tuesday for 5 days, 5 daily prompts, and really the important questions that you've got to answer. Why am I going tiny? How will I fund my tiny home? Who's going to build my tiny home? What will my tiny home look like? And where will I park it? So those should pretty much cover, and then I'll drop this link in the chat. And you guys are welcome to join us. I'm also hosting a Create Your Dream Tiny Home Masterclass on July 28th. People can learn more about that during the challenge as well. So welcome to the tiny home world.
Cool. Thanks, Lindsay. And we had one quick question in our chat. Do you have to pay property taxes on a tiny home?
In the world, okay, so in your example with regards to, a whole village, you're going to have your own units all put together and everyone's going to pay, much like a mobile home park or a trailer park, that kind of thing. However, with tiny homes in backyards, Oh, and I forgot to mention, the places where they are currently legal: City of Fresno, City of Los Angeles, City of San Luis Obispo, City of San Jose, and County of Santa Clara. Soon the City of San Diego. So what existed as an ADU on foundation, which starts at about 200,000 usually, now you can go with a tiny home. And sorry, the biggest question a lot of people ask, this home is about $85,000 without the solar and water storage package. With it, it's about 100,000. Okay, so the difference of a home built on foundation, you know, is somewhere in the 100,000. You still have to run utility lines and all of that. So the question is really kind of more like what you want to do with a tiny home. Do you want to do multiple tiny homes, or do you want to do one in the backyard? In the backyard, your property tax is going to go with the home.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you,
Cool.
Lindsay, and for everything that you do. And yeah, if you have more questions, maybe you can post them in the chat, and maybe Lindsay can answer them there.
Yep, I'm checking the chat.
Cool.
Thanks, Maria.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right, awesome.
Cool. All right. So next up, we have Alejandra. Alejandra Warren is here representing Plastic Free Pacifica. However, she is also a board member of Race to Zero Waste. And Alejandra's with the mission of Plastic Free Pacifica is to educate and outreach, do education and outreach to ensure compliance with Pacifica's ban on single-use plastics. But I love their motto of reduce, reuse, and refuse. And Alejandra has a presentation, but maybe just quickly, how that refuse and how important is the refusal part, especially as we're in COVID-19 and restaurants have to, you know, most restaurants are having these single-use items again. How do we refuse?
Thank you, Maria. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So yes, that's a great question, because that is probably the most important part of our campaign: refusing and reducing, right? So for the refusing part, I think it's really challenging now, because we're gonna have to get used to carrying our own utensils. Lots of municipalities in San Mateo don't have a ban on single-use plastic yet, which means if you order anything, they're probably gonna put a bunch of plastic that you don't need, you don't want: spoons, forks, straws, napkins. So it is really important, Maria, that we get vocal in that sense. When we call the restaurant, say, please no utensils, please no napkins. Refusing is really important now, because they are not thinking about those things now. They have many challenges. Businesses, restaurants have many challenges. So we have to be helpful in that sense and remind them that sometimes less is more.
Cool, thanks. And you have a presentation for us today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the awesome partnership that we have with Race to Zero Waste. Thanks to Teresa and Maria. We are joining forces with the Office of Sustainability, San Mateo, and with the Pacific Beach Coalition. We are working on our campaign, Plastic Free July. I don't know if all of you are familiar with it. It's a global movement trying to teach people how to reduce their plastic footprint. So Maria, are you doing something to reduce your plastic footprint?
It's hard for me because I'm pretty zero waste.
Exactly. The challenges are harder now.
Yeah, the challenges are harder now. But I have not been eating out, even though like I've been trying to like eat out at least once a week to support local businesses, but I really have stopped that and instead are supporting my local farmers market. And because it's, those are, no plastic, there's plastic free spaces there. So that's how I've been doing it. And I'm talking to more folks, especially my mom and folks who may have never heard of it. And it's really is a challenge for them. So just finding ways to, share that, hey, can you go plastic free for a month? Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important that we are fair with everyone, that we share the idea of plastic free doesn't mean you have to give up all plastic. Plastic free means one single little thing that you do can make a really big difference. We're talking about the straws. We're giving some cool straws as prizes, metal and bamboo. We're working on reusables, better than paper straws, reusables. And there you go, Maria showing us that beautiful clean container cup that we're offering also to people sharing their experiences, because we want you to participate. It doesn't matter how small the change is. You don't have to be plastic free. You don't have to be zero waste. And I think that is a really common problem that we have. We're isolating people with the concept of zero waste and plastic free because they think, I'm never gonna be zero waste. I'm never gonna be plastic free. But we just want you to get there one little step at a time. So I want to show you something really cool that I do. That is something small that you can do at home. I stopped buying body wash a long time ago. So I buy my soap in a bar and then I cut it in pieces and I put it in this little container. So my family gets one little cube of soap. And I don't know why, but it lasts like 3 times more instead of using the actual bar. And this is our soap instead of the plastic body wash. Now, I'm gonna share with you my favorite cleaner, baking soda. Believe it or not, it works for everything. Just give it a try. Vinegar, lemon, baking soda. I think there was a time when they sold us the idea that brands and heavy chemicals were gonna fix our lives, cleaning, make them easier, but it really didn't. It just brought a lot of toxins into our home. So let's try to get rid of those. One more thing, this is a little bit more advanced, I know, but you can start giving it a try. I make my own lotion for my face and my body, and I make my own deodorant. Trial and error. I've been doing this for a long time, but I finally got there, to the texture, to the smell, to the protection I want. And now that we have a little bit more time at home, I think it's time to spend our time discovering what is going to make our life a little bit lighter of trash. Now more than ever, we know that plastic is not only a problem, an imaginary problem, it's a real problem. It's contaminating our water, it's contaminating our air, it's contaminating our food. They've been finding it in every single corner of the planet. So every little thing we do to avoid using plastic is really a big step. What else? Oh, I used to buy bulk, and now it's getting a little bit more challenging with COVID, but I encourage everyone, as soon as they open, just buy bulk. You can buy 30 cents of something, 50 cents, $1. It's really, you don't have to make a $100 shopping spree for bulk. You can buy anything, any amount you want. And you don't have to spend money in zero waste kits. I want to be really clear about that. You don't have to spend money on bamboo utensils. You don't have to spend money in mason jars. You just have to get a little bit creative and resourceful. And that's why I want to let you know that zero waste is for everyone. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to have a high income. You just have to be a little creative. One more thing. Oh, I love this one. This is my toothbrush. I used to use a bamboo toothbrush for a long time, and I honestly didn't love it too much. So I kept doing a little bit of research, and I found this one. I'm not gonna say the brand because we don't want to get into brands, but it has a replaceable, I don't know if you can see it here, the replaceable head. So I just get 5 of this every year, and that's the amount of plastic that I'm using for brushing instead of the entire handle. So it makes you think, what other things are we using in plastic that are really not necessary? It makes you think, maybe was it the plastic industry trying to sell us more plastic than we actually need? I don't know. We should ask ourselves all those questions and be smart consumers. They're listening to where we put our money. So maybe we stop buying packaged snacks and start buying apples or bananas instead, they're gonna pay attention to those changes that we're making. So I think that's really important too, that we are conscious consumers. And one more thing, let me see. Carry your napkin everywhere. I used to live in the tropics for a long time, and napkin was my best friend. It used to be good for my sweat. It used to be good for replacing paper napkins. You can save so many napkins if you carry your own in your purse. So get used to carrying your straw, your napkin, and your utensils. And that's already something small that you can do to avoid the use of plastic. And I want to hear the ideas. Please join us at Plastic Free Pacifica, Facebook, Instagram. We have prizes. So thank you, Maria.
Cool. Thanks, Alejandra. Any questions out there about going plastic free or fun challenges maybe that you're doing at home?
I got something. So of the little tiny toothbrush, which was totally cool, what do you do with it when it's done? Does it
Yes,
go to landfill?
that one is landfill still.
Okay.
So that's the point, that zero waste doesn't mean, have you seen in Instagram when they have that mason jar of waste and they tell you I'm zero waste? That is wonderful, but that's just discouraging people that still don't have the access to all of those options. So we want to show you that you don't have to put your trash in a little jar. You just have to start little by little, making changes right now, every single day, small decisions. That's what we need.
Thank you.
Right on. Any other questions, folks?
I just wanted to say thanks for the great presentation, Alejandra. Sorry, I don't have my camera on, but just not feeling it right now. One of the things that we've started doing in my household as kind of like a little activism is, it's just, we're still trying to support restaurants, as Maria said, during this pandemic, and everything's takeout. But prioritizing going to restaurants that are utilizing at least compostable takeout instead of just the plastic that's not really recyclable, the clamshells, and then letting those places know that we would like to go, that we really want to support them. We would love to see them shift. It's a similar price point, and I think from a business perspective, if they hear that 1, 2, 3 times, they're going to assume that there's a lot more people that share that same perspective. So something that we've started doing.
Absolutely. And thank you, Laura, for mentioning that, because in the spirit of continuing to support our businesses, it is really important to create community, in my opinion. We have the same places that we go to get takeout from, Thai restaurant, Mexican restaurant, we have the same spots. They're in our neighborhood, so we know them, they know us. And we are comfortable enough to bring our own glass container. So that's how we get our pad thai, that's how we get our nachos, that's how we get our burritos. Because once we show up with that container and they were like, I don't understand what you want. But after that moment, it became normal. And it's part of our relationship. There are no weird questions. There's no COVID concerns. We're just being very cautious that we wash our containers really well with hot water and soap. If you don't have a dishwasher, because the dishwasher is the next step. But we know by now that hot water and soap are really good to kill COVID. So just if you're gonna do that, just be really respectful and mindful that you don't wanna put your restaurant owners in a difficult position. So just make sure that they're really sterilized. And I'm sure if you have that conversation with them, they're gonna let you use your reusables. And that's our goal for the future, that we have restaurants understanding the importance of giving that option to customers.
It's interesting to hear you say that. I just wonder, because some of the local ordinances, and they go county by county. Originally, the 7 Bay Area counties had the same ordinances under the public health code for COVID. But now they've tried it a bit, and I think maybe San Mateo's is more lenient. Here, it's strictly prohibited, and for them to handle, like the only way you can use a reusable is if you are the only person handling it. So I haven't had that conversation. I mean, I think that there are certain places that aren't necessarily following that to the letter of the law, but I've heard that from folks before where they're like, you know, even in grocery stores where I knew it was the county and city ordinance allowing us to use reusable bags, they would say, well, that's not our store policy. You know, so it's just one of those things. I think you're right that we should be asking that question of all of our you know, our restaurants to see if they would be willing to do it. But I do know that some of the guidance from county health officers does still prohibit that.
Yeah, and COVID is making this absolutely more challenging for all of us working in sustainability. It is really difficult, but it was going to be part of new ordinances happening in Berkeley, in Oakland, San Mateo, and San Francisco. They are really aware that this is a necessity, that we can reduce waste by switching from recyclables to compostables to more strict compostables. We know now that the solution is reusables. So I know that reusables is going to be a really big conversation after COVID. Right now, it's a little bit more challenging because we don't want to put people at risk. But yeah, I think in the future, we're going to see a lot more options for reusables.
Yeah, we're already seeing them. One of our partners who came on another session, Dispatch Goods, they've been partnering with restaurants and offering reusable containers for delivery. So it's been, they're just in San Francisco, but they deliver everywhere in San Francisco. They're always expanding their partnership. So Laura and other folks, maybe get in contact with them. I put their name in the chat, but they're really good resource because then you kind of take care of, you know, the COVID, they're within the COVID rules, but they're also offering really tasty meals and supporting local businesses and a local startup. Cool. All right. So next, thank you so much, Alejandra. Gracias. Next we're checking in with Keaton Fisher again. So Keaton is with Imagination in the Groovy Grove, which he founded. And he's still doing some really exciting things. He even just launched a landscaping company that's supporting the garden. So, hey, Keaton, how you doing? How you feeling? Would you like to give us an update about the state of the garden, the Groovy Grove? And the gratitude?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction, Maria. I'm currently, I hope that this train here is not too loud, but I'm currently in Pilsen in the city of Chicago right now, in the mission of community gardening. I have taken on a project with my team, Imagination, to help transform another property and turn it into El Jardín de sus Sueños. So the garden of our dreams here is, sorry if I turn too fast and get everyone. It's a very beautiful piece of property over here off of 21st and Ashland. And so we're working in conjunction with oh, hello, Kitty. We're working in conjunction with an apothecary located in Pilsen who has been struggling, not being able to open her doors throughout the whole COVID quarantine process. And so she's hoping to she's starting an Indiegogo fundraiser in order to keep her shop alive, and we'll be hosting a CDC guideline recommended cleansing ceremony here. And so it's certain things like this that we get to do through the Imagination Landscaping Company in conjunction with the foundation, like aspirations that we have, that we're able to build connections and relationships. So as Maria was talking about, we are trying to build community, and as we look at the race to zero waste, we understand that it's something that we have to do together. It's when there is certain rules and regulations that prevent us from being able to live a zero waste lifestyle, as well as individuals buying in bulk, maybe as Alejandra was saying, is a little bit more difficult. But the more that we're able to work together, the more that we get to know one another, the more we understand what each other's wants and needs are, and we're able to acquire all of those things maybe together in a way that can either use less plastic in the transition phase or get to where we would like to be, which is using no plastic whatsoever. So, you know, as we were talking about plastics, I was just imagining all the plastics that are still in my life. And even right now, doing landscaping, being out there in the hot sun, just trying to even think ahead, be proactive about making sure that we get water in the right way, instead of having to like race to the gas station and even get a gallon jug or have to buy a whole crate of water. It's like, it would be nice for us to all have our own water bottles. And as Alejandra was referencing, you know, thinking ahead, knowing like, okay, well, I'm going to be going to eat somewhere. How can I conserve on that aspect? I'm going to be hungry at some point, even if I'm not hungry right now. So then I have to think about things in the future. And so we're going through that process of learning something new. And that's what the Groovy Grove, as I mentioned last time, is all about, is that it's like a life support group where, we're all trying to learn these new grooves. We're creating these new neural pathways in our brains to change our habits and behaviors in order for us to live more cohesively with the planet. And so as someone, you know, being the founder, these are ideas that are sort of all over the planet right now. And even as the leader of the organization, it's something even I'm learning, and I recognize where I fall short, and even some of my dreams and aspirations as far as limiting my one single use items in my life. So it's a really interesting experience, and it's really difficult at times, but it's also amazing to be able to build these connections, you know, going back to the landscaping and the gardening aspect, building these connections through healthy living and ideas of bringing things back to life and transformation and transitions, and just doing that together in a way that is supportive. So if like anyone had any questions for me, I'd love to be able to respond. I know I have a couple more minutes here.
Yeah, Keaton, no, you brought up a good point. And landscaping, I've done a few landscaping projects and been out in the field. And, you know, it's, in fact, today I was doing landscaping over at a neighborhood apartment building. And it makes such a big difference, you know, the ability to talk to folks. You know, when you're working on a client's home, and instead of you having to, you know, get in your car and like try to find some place that has water and food, you know, I've had clients come out and they give us drink because it's hot, and they give us food. And how wonderful would it be, you know, folks stepped up when they, you know, when they see, you know, the mow and blow guys coming through, and to just recognize them and say, hey, maybe I should offer them some water. Maybe I should offer them some food.
Which is especially difficult right now, right? So like with sometimes with everything going on with COVID, it's like even trying to do what you would normally do and then not do. And then when it's like one-on-one, it feels more safe to do certain things. And then in other times you're like, you know, some people need to be more protected than others necessarily, but obviously we want to keep the least amount of people exposed as possible. So it's just like navigating that right now, as Alejandra was mentioning as well, just that it's like trying to stay zero waste or limited waste is really difficult at a time like this, where we're not really able to rely on each other as much as we might want to. So that's a big difficulty that we're all facing. And but I think something about this time affords us the space to really consider all of the changes and habits that we would like to make. And therefore, as we start to come out of this, I know right now in the United States, it's not looking as well as we might hope. But as we do, one day make it to a place where we can feel like things are normal, whatever that ends up being, that hopefully our new normal will include all of these habits and behaviors, which will limit our use of single-use items and plastics in particular.
I have a question, or more of a comment idea. Hi, Keaton. I'm Lindsay.
Hello.
Thank you so much for this vision. I love that, you guys are working to support someone with the Apothecary, the Indiegogo, and creating the plantings and the whole outdoor space. Awesome.
Thank you so
I thought
much.
about with tiny homes,
Mhm.
often what you'll see is like a sink in like more of like vans and schoolies, and someone will have a pump. So I don't know if your crew, if there's a crew and you guys have a van or a truck or whatever, but like you get like a 5-gallon jug full of awesome
Right.
filtered water, because I'm a water snob. If someone
Yeah.
handed me water from their sink, I'd be like,
Uh,
and yet I don't even like
Right.
bottled water, I like filtered water
sure.
coming from my sink, but obviously you can't like take your sink with you from your house. So
No, yeah. So you need a big,
5-gallon
like
jug,
5-gallon jug. Yeah.
those,
Yeah. Or
those
even
those
like,
hand pumps, right? Those big hand
right.
pumps where if there's a crew,
Yeah.
those are thoughts.
No, I get you. There's a friend of mine from another community that I'm a part of. He always brings a giant blue container, it's like a 5-gallon jug, and you just stand it up, and then when you run a pour it, you lean it back down, and then you can just
Totally.
twist it so the water can come out, and so the spigot's at the bottom. You don't even have to pump. So yeah, there's those things like that I definitely need to invest in, and then. But then at the same time, it's hard to stand there and fill up a 5-gallon jug from the same spot, like however long that's going to take. But they also have a water filter that you can sort of just set it up and like turn the water on and it'll just fill it up. So you do have to, have not a lot, but have some forward thinking and get things set up so that it's easy and runs smoothly, so that you're not running around at the last minute trying to get some of those things done. But
And
that
you're
is
always
definitely
going to pay more for those bottled waters. Like I used to sell, I created a whole convenience store, and the most money that you ever make in a convenience store is on the bottled water.
right.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, we do
market.
spend, it's almost every day. And I keep mentioning, like, hey guys, we really need to try to work our way away from this, like get to a more sustainable way of getting our water, because we know every day we're going to need water. So it's like literally after we get out this conversation right here, I'm just going to have to figure out where I could get it. Like I would rather not order from Amazon, but I got to figure out how to get my hands on it as quick as possible, because it's something that our crew needs, and everywhere you go. It was cool. One time I just had that jug with me, and I went somewhere and I had like really good filtered water with like the specific pH that you want and everything like that. And I felt like a modern day milkman going around with the watering can and just like showing up places and just like refilling people's canteens and just being like, hey, I got that great water that you need right here that can really get you rejuvenated and rehydrated. So it's like just to have that on you is actually that can be a blessing to a lot of people if you have that access and can give it to other folks.
Well, thanks, Keaton, for
Thank you, Maria.
stimulating imagination.
Always trying to just we're so far outside the box that there's no box anymore.
There's no box. Yeah.
No
so
box. In
keep
and
up
out.
work. And
Thank you.
I did share your email if folks want to contact you and
Yeah, of course.
dialogue. And also Keaton's been doing meditations in the morning.
Yeah, check me out.
So
If you guys are
tune in,
interested. Yeah, it's not every day, but it's definitely available to folks if you want to tune in. It's a little bit of meditating on an idea and then a silent meditation as well. So please come and communicate with me and give me your ideas. I love to be able to bounce off other people's minds. It's fun.
Cool. Well,
One thing
thank
that I would love to say, if I have a second,
Yeah.
is this is a really good time to think about our privilege. And even people of color, we are checking ourselves to check on our privilege. And one thing that I think about every single day is when I was growing up in Colombia, we didn't have drinking water coming from the faucet. So when I came to the US and I noticed that people flushed with the same water that they can drink, I was like, what are they doing? To me, that was insane. Imagining that you wash your car and you water your plants and everything with that water that for us has so much value. So just thinking about where is your water coming from? Do we have rain barrels? How are we collecting rainwater? And seeing water as a really, really precious source in a time and a place like in the US that we have so much access to water. And there are even communities within the United States that can't refill their water bottle because they don't have access to clean water. So just being able to refill our water bottles, it's a huge privilege. So check on your privilege is my advice. And then you'll see that many things that we take for granted are really precious.
Yes, very much. Thank you, Alejandra, for that reminder, because it is, yeah, I've traveled. I remember I didn't realize until I was in Nicaragua, I was in Managua, and they cut off the water for days at a time. And you never know when your water is going to come back on. And we were without water for an entire week. And even our saved water, we ran out of that, and it is a privilege in this country. And with that, interesting enough, we're going to start to close out, and I thought I would lead you all through Ujjayi breath, ocean breathing. Everything just kind of came together. So just finding some comfort. You can sit back in your seats. We're all active people, but now let's just take a time to, cool down from that action. Just finding yourself supported in your seat. Finding softness. If you'd like, you can close your eyes. If not, just let your eyelids be soft. Maybe just staring at something on your desk or in your room, in your space. And finding that rhythm within yourself that is the breath. It brings newness with each inhale and exhale cycle. As we even more recognize our breath, and we put our hands on our bellies. Feel our bellies filling up. This full energy. As we exhale, releasing that energy. Again, just finding that rhythm that is our life. And as we feel this in our bodies and with our hands, maybe we can start to imagine the ocean or a lake and a wave, building up energy as we inhale and releasing the energy on the exhale. Maybe you're comfortable here and just finding this rhythm and empty and fullness. Maybe we'll add a little bit to it and really feel our breath in our throats. So just constricting your throat like you're gonna blow on a mirror and fog up a mirror. So as we inhale, we're filling our bellies. We're gathering that energy, we're pulling that wave into ourselves. As we exhale, we're releasing that wave onto the shore, out through our mouth or through our noses. And inhaling. And as our waves continue, perhaps seeing blue, feeling blueness, the calm, and cleansing. Knowing that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, we join together through this breath, and through our ability to bring in energy and to release it. We'll take one more Ujjayi breath together. You can start to let go of that concentration. Come back to your space. Come back to your screen. Come back to now. I just want to thank everyone, Lindsay, Alejandra, Keaton, everyone who had wonderful questions and comments. And join us next time on our Zero Waste Action Hour, which will be the third Friday next month. So tune in, stay tuned. We love you. Peace and blessings. And also big thank you to Teresa, who's been behind the tech this whole time. So
Great
thanks all.
job, Maria. Great job. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Maria.
All right. Thanks all. And we'll see you next time.
Happy 40th birthday, Teresa.
Ooh,
Happy birthday,
oh,
Teresa.
yeah, let's sing happy birthday to Teresa. I forgot that. If you're still on, yeah. Teresa,
All
sorry.
right.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday
birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Teresa. Happy birthday to you.
All right, I have a really fun one. I have a fun
Thanks,
one.
everybody.
It's a quick one.
Thanks, Teresa.
Cumpleaños feliz. Cha cha cha.
Baby, look how old you are. Baby, look how young. You're a shining superstar. Another year around the sun. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank
Yay.
you. Cheers, everyone. And thanks for joining. And we'll see you in August.
See you next
Sounds
time.
good. Hang in there, everybody. Love you.
Thanks. Love y'all. Thanks for joining.